G'day guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my Endgame Grenade Veteran guide. Who am I? Why should you care? And is Grenade Veteran even any good? Well, I'm a nobody. My name is Dominic. Most people call me Dom. It's nice to meet ya. Why should you care? Well, I'm a true survivor. I play a ton of Havoc 40. My current assignment rank is 40. I've completed Havoc 40 this week. I've more or less been playing it all week. I'm about to demote, but we don't talk about it. That's a story for another time. And now, is Grenade Veteran even any good? Well, with the way I've built it, I believe it to be so. Just quickly take a look at this. Little bit lacking in the AoE department. Now, if I combine it with Grenade Tinkerer, as you can see, it does slightly improve. We should hit the dog, and that's about it. It's a little bit underwhelming. Now, when we combine it with the bolt pistol, which has access to lethal proximity, explosion radius increases by 25%. Easiest way to explain that, think you have 31 talent points now. Your 31st talent point is explosion radius increases by 25%. It's that simple. What does that translate to? You have ogre-sized shredder grenades. As you can see, it is a crap ton of AoE. You're applying a lot of bleed to the room. This is a very high AoE DPS build. It makes my monkey brain tickle in good ways. What can I say? Now again, I just want to preface, this is not a standard veteran build. This is one, a grenade veteran build. Two, this is designed for the hardest content in the game. One, true solos. Two, if you want to have the highest carry potential in terms of your Havoc 40s. This is a skill-based build. I don't really know how else to put it. The better you are, the better you're going to do with it. It's got an answer for everything. Now going and starting off with the talent tree, let's get into mainly the important stuff. The first one is out for blood. Your kills replenish an additional 5% toughness. In melee, you have a base replenishment rate on kill of 5% and 0% on range. This adds an additional 5% onto those values, becoming 10% replenishment in melee and 5% replenishment of your toughness in ranged. So if I throw a shredder grenade and I kill 10 dudes, there's going to be plenty more than 10 dudes. I'm going to replenish 100% of my toughness. If I do it with my bolt pistol out, I'm going to replenish 50% of my toughness. It's just a great way to keep a constant influx of toughness and basically refill and top up your toughness on top of voice of command. Going on to the blitz, pretty self-explanatory. You saw why we like shredders. One thing I want to point out though is we take uncanny strike, which does ramp bleed damage from shredders, which I'll quickly showcase now. Alright, now in our first example, we're just going to throw the grenade as is, nothing special. It should do around 18 damage bleed to carapace. Yep, there we go, 3 stacks of 18. Now if I combine it with uncanny strike, as you can see, my bleed is doing a lot more damage. What will end up happening is a horde comes, mixed horde, elites, whatever. You'll chuck 2 grenades and you'll end up with hopefully a twin blast or a single nade into a twin blast, and you're basically nuking the horde. You'll be attacking in the middle of it, applying uncanny strikes. Quite good. And moving on now, we get back in the fight with stun immunity and slow immunity, mostly used against shooters who can pop back into cover. They don't stun you on the spot. Really annoying when they do. Very good for basically those clutch situations. It's veteran's version of Thy Wrath Be Swift. Very important, otherwise you'll notice get pinged by the shooters and you can't fucking move. Simple as. Grenade Tinkerer, showed you before. There are a couple of ways you can set this build up. You can go a survivalist route, which I will show at the end, but for the way I'm currently taking things, I go fire team because I just pick up ammo, or I don't use my bolt pistol much, to be honest. It's really for just gaining access to the AoE damage or killing range specialists, or in a pinch, to be honest. I don't really consume much ammo. Now moving on, we take twin blast. I see this get underappreciated a lot, but I think it's because people don't actually understand what's happening with twin blast in an actual gameplay loop. All they see is 20% chance to throw an additional grenade, and all they think is 20% chance to double up your damage. Yeah, I can understand from purely that it's mediocre, but then you actually got to think about how it's actually applied in a gameplay loop. So you typically want to throw 2 grenades with this build at any given time, and what will happen is either you throw 2 grenades and there's no twin blast, sure, moving on. You'll twin blast initially, which means you get to conserve a grenade. You don't need to throw another one, which is grenade generation 3. through conservation, or what will happen is you throw a grenade, then you twin blast, which then generates a grenade, if that makes sense. So there's a twin application here of if you're always playing around 2 grenades, you're getting your procs from your demo team, you're playing around your demolition stockpile, all of these cooldowns. This allows you to keep the uptime of the double nade combo as much as possible. Give it a try. I've played hundreds and hundreds of games, and when I realized of how it actually was playing into the gameplay loop, that it was not only, yes, giving more damage, but generating grenades from the playstyle of double nade combos, not having to expend extra grenades if I don't need to, or just straight up, oops, I cleared out a whole room, moving on. Really good. Just in this type of build with bolt pistol lethal proximity, I highly recommend it. Demo stockpile, pretty self-explanatory. 60 seconds, get a grenade, pretty consistent. Voice of command with duty and honor, pretty self-explanatory. I don't want to go stealth, I just want to, you know, fight dudes, and voice of command is the best way to do it. Now, this critical chance boost modifier is actually important, because if I take it off, you will notice at the bottom my crit chance changes to 20%, which is a 1 in 5. This small little node here makes it a 1 in 4. Now this is definitely interchangeable. This is some of the stuff you can work around if you want to go to trench fighter, which I'll explain later. But getting a 1 in 4 crit chance on the knife, now that small adjustment increases your crit rate by quite a bit, not to be underestimated. It converts into a lot of damage in the grand scheme of a complete run. Granted, you carry 1 extra grenades. Again, going back to twin blast of that gameplay loop, it feels a lot more consistent and nicer to always have 2 grenades available. And if you do manage to generate, then yeah, you can squeeze in extra grenades during a horde, but it just allows for more consistent uptime of your highest damage, which is your grenades. Moving on. Now, out of these 3, keep their heads down is actually pretty good. I just personally like For the Emperor. It does help. It allows you to just basically kill off things that extra second or 2 seconds faster. And it more so just comes down to we really don't need the other 2, especially with a bolt pistol. So we're going to take the extra damage because I've got no one else to rely on in a true solo. Or if I'm trying to carry as hard as I can and you are the DPS carry, damage makes sense, no? Don't have another choice. Tactical awareness is really good. We know and love it. Iron Will, we know and love it. We combine it with damage resistance with gunners, and we're pretty safe for most things. It's very hard to die to melee with this build, and it's more about just learning how to play into range and not just get trapped or dogged. Demo team, replenish a bunch of grenades over the course of a run. Everyone knows and loves it. Moving on. Precision strikes, there's no really reason to go the other 2 in this build, and this is really good. No other choice, but really good. Now this is where it gets interesting. Superiority complex is my keystone in this build. Now, just to give you a quick show of what elite enemies are. Elite enemies are bulwarks, crushers, dread gunners, dread rages. You know, just have a look here. This is on gameslantern.com/enemies, and I filtered it by elite. The thing I want to show you here is unyielding, carapace, flak, maniac, flak. Do you get my point? There's a massive mix of armor types within this. Superiority complex works against all of these, but I take 10% melee damage on my knife to give me 25% damage to all those armor types and enemies. That basically converts or translates as a replacement to, you know, 25% damage carapace, 25% damage unyielding. I'm doing it in a different way just because I have to min-max in every single specific way. Going back to the talents, again, this is where it gets super interesting now. I take both stamina regeneration boost nodes. The reason for that is the veteran has a base stamina regeneration delay of 1 second, the zealot 0.75 and the psyker 0.5, which is why it feels much nicer to, you know, sprint or recover from sprinting or stamina actions. With those classes, veteran really suffers from that, and again, in clutch situations, when you're dodging out of the way, you get hit by a melee, you get staggered because your stamina breaks, that's gonna kill you. This allows you to keep constant uptime of stamina and sprinting to make you incredibly mobile, and it also increases your DPS. Yes, it actually increases your DPS. Alright, now the first thing is my claim that increases DPS. This is with both the talent nodes off. See that massive delay between more push attacks when this is arguably the best attack on the combat knife? It's a great way to stack uncanny, and when you're again doing this combo, you're sprinting around and you have to dodge. You get hit once, you're staggered, you're going to get hit multiple times, you're probably dead. Now when I put both of them back on, this is what it looks like. Alright, do you get my point there? We basically have the Psycho version of Veteran. We have a lot of uptime with that poke attack. It is a massive amount of damage. Again, combining with that little 5% crit chance. These are just the small optimizations that I do believe to be worth it. The two most important ones was that and now mobility. So if I'm sprinting and sliding, see how by the time I'm back up, I'm back to 100% stamina. Por favor, not right now. This is what mobility means. This is how we get everywhere nice and fast, and when we need to engage in combat, we're ready to go. When we need to go, we just hold the knife attack. This is why it's really, really important. Now the last one is duck and dive, and the reason for that is to basically make sure we have stamina uptime, because let's say we're running around, we've been block attacking, we don't have much stamina. Now things are getting dangerous. Now, I'm doing this, I'm dodging, I'm out of stamina and dodges. One way you can, get your dodges back is by sprinting forward. If you sprint forward, you're not using dodges, they'll replenish. But now see how I'm still at 0% stamina. If I weave in a little dodge there, now I'm going to be getting 30% stamina from each of those shots. I'll be back to 100% stamina basically most if not all of the run. Then if you leave a little bit of downtime, you can slowly replenish. You can be where you need to be practically when you want to be. It really just is to learning maps and positioning as well as possible and not cornering yourself like a rat. That's really what it comes down to. Honestly, that was everything, guys. Like, I know it looks pretty simple. It doesn't look like it will do much, but again, this is achieving wins in true solo content on Ulrich Maelstrom. And again, that's pretty much everything, guys. That's the whole talent tree. I'll go to the weapon loadouts in just a second. I know it looks weird, but just give it a try. When it comes to the worst situations possible, clutches or true solo content, this is really what I would prefer to be on. It is designed to be in the worst situation possible and come out on top if it's possible. Now going into the weapons or the loadout, coming back to the knife, superiority complex, 15% damage against elites to all those enemies you saw before, combining with the 10% melee damage to elites. This will apply to the unyielding bulwarks, reapers, the crushers with carapace. It'll apply to all the flak, maniac dreg rages. It's just a really efficient way to get access to a lot of damage while also taking 3 toughness curios and replacing the perk on the weapon to be stamina. The knife has 3 stamina bars base. This will give it 5. 3 I find to not be enough. 4 is the minimum. 5 is very comfortable to work with. Going on to the bolt pistol, both on mobility dump stat by the way. Again, we go 10% damage to elites just because they're the most important things to kill. That and specialists, but with most specialists you're 2-shotting with the bolt pistol. Just commit to the breakpoints, you'll learn what you can one-shot those, 2-shot everything else. It's more about making sure the elites are not overwhelming you and keeping the trapper dog mutant number down so you can move around when you need to. Everything stays the same as the previous build. Lethal proximity puncture on the bolt pistol, lacerate, uncanny strike on the melee. Going on to the curios, they're all the exact same. 17% toughness, 3 damage resistant gunners, 1 again because it's to live and I have access to enough stamina through the perk on the knife. 3 damage resistant gunners combining with iron will. You'll be getting pinged for basically 1 damage from shooters and you can kite melee enemies out. It just works and synergizes really well. Stamina regeneration, you saw why stamina is arguably the most important, or having a good stamina economy is one of the most important things in endgame content. And then again, I'm just ramping all of that with 5% toughness. You can play around and use block efficiencies, combat ability, regeneration. This is just what I'm running with what I find to have the most success. That's pretty much it, guys. I know it looks weird, I understand it. Just try try it, compare it to the other previous build, and you'll notice the differences. One is much more aligned on playing with and around a team, the born leader. This one is more about you being the carry potential, maximizing your impact in the game, learning how to tackle each enemy. Nothing is impossible, it can be done until something significant changes. This is what I'm running, but before I go, if you do want to make some adjustments, these are the ones that are working for me. So you can take out Grenadier and the crit chance and go extra toughness and trench fighter. I actually really like the attack speed, and again extra toughness boost from curios. You can also do this and start chucking unyielding instead of flak on the bolt pistol if you want to commit to the bosses on that end. This is fine. This is what this is actually good for, is the current event. If you want to do that, the Ogren event. If you prefer the survivalist build, this is what I'm currently running when I do that variant of this build. Same thing at the top, we obviously go survivalist here. We take the extra point in field in provision. Like the name suggests, with the aura ability survivalist, this is a bit of a slower play style. You're picking a lot more specials and leads from range. You're playing around your ammo crates, giving you extra grenades and ammo. It's a lot more self-sufficient. It's also really good if you have the scab only, no ammo pickup modifiers on Auric Maelstrom. But other than that, it's pretty much the exact same. Like it really is. Weak spot damage, superiority complex, nothing changes. The only real change being is you lose access to the extra grenade, but you gain access to extra grenades through the ammo packs or ammo crates that you'll find throughout a run. This is what I started out with and then slowly transitioned over to Fireteam when I became more confident and comfortable with melee combat. I also have a video uploaded of a true solo. This was the exact build that I used then, the original version being this build. Alright, that's everything guys. I appreciate your time. Give it a try. I know it's whack. I know it is. Don't judge it until you try it. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Appreciate your time. God bless.